we have some Sony C20 goodness with potentially maybe an interesting fault. Let's crack on. Hello and welcome to another MrBetaByte video, and this one's a little bit different insofar as we are looking at this fine Sony SL-C20 power machine. This is a repair from Tony. Hi Tony, hope all is well with you and you're enjoying the HF100. Yeah, this is another machine he bought off eBay about 12 months ago. And it has the usual faults of the buttons being a little bit intermittent, no remote control, so of course you're reliant on these buttons, and they sort of wear out and or become oxidized and just don't work very well. So we'll have a look at those. Obviously we've got the power supply to look at. Those caps will no doubt need changing, but the other issue he's told me about with this machine is that sometimes when you power it on, it'll be out of standby straight away and locked up, and you can't put a tape in or whatever. Power cycling it will then work and behave. So that could be an interesting one. There's a few things that can cause that. I'm going to be a bit intrigued to work out what is going on. Potentially one thing I have had where it's done that before with these machines has something to do with this mark here. Now, not specifically this mark here in inverted commas. This is a bit of a squash in transit previously. It was incredibly well wrapped, packed up when it was sent to me. So, and this definitely hasn't happened in transit to me because, yeah, it was double boxed. The inner box was a double wall box as well, and it's DPD, which tends to be a better courier to use in the UK. They do still throw the parcels about, but they just seem to survive better than any other carrier. So, yes. Really looking forward to this. I've not looked at a C20 or any of this generation, C20, 30, 40, 80, the bits in between for a while. So yeah, let's dig in. Okay, so I've taken out the screws, the two screws on the other side. Just take these two out. Look a little bit worse for wear, but that's fine. Tight. Okay, so so far so good. It's all looking pretty tidy. Quite a worn up drum, but we'll resurface that. This is a bit interesting, these pen marks on the top. Not sure what that's about. Any ideas, let me know in the comments. It seems a bit interesting to put those marks there. The funky tuning tool is missing. But even though, I mean, it's redundant anyway, I mean, you wouldn't really use this anymore. But power supplies, it's all fairly dust free, which is nice. See a little bit of brown on the fuse there, so that's been flexing over the years. That one down there is looking a little bit flexing as well. But the rest look okay. SDK, of course, SDK regulator chip. So yeah, I suppose we ought to power it up. Okay, so no mains plug check in this one. You'll be glad to hear. I know how much you enjoy them. But Tony actually sent it without the plug on, which is actually a really great idea. If you're happy to take the plug off, send kit to the post using a courier, it really does, yeah, see it's come on, it really does make a difference. Interesting. So I can change channel and set the clock. It's probably going to get upset about me doing that. The buttons are a little bit dodgy. The front has been off it, I know that, because under here the little plastic sort of decorative bits on the switches, one of those is missing. But that is certainly, well, that feels a bit. Okay, so I think the first thing I'm going to do is actually take the front cover off and just have a look to see if there's any damage. Could be there's a very slight amount of damage that's just causing this to do this sort of lock up on power up. So screw on the top, two on the side, going into the plastic. We have got ones underneath as well. This has an incredibly short mains lead relative to most Sony stuff. So, yeah, makes it just a little bit more challenging. Just because the way the mains leads are in here, it's a bit crazy. And I need to put my other light on. I can't because the lead's not long enough. So let's take this off, see if there is any damage. Doesn't look to be, so that's good. It's quite dusty. It's about the dustiest part of it. Yes, there is damage. In fact, there aren't even any screws there. Just a tiny bit of damage. Interesting. And there's a cable tie missing there, which can cause problems with the pull down door. So yeah, obviously someone's had a look at this. That's interesting. So that's going off and on, but the LED is staying on. Yeah, there's something not quite right with this panel, and I'm suspecting the print's probably a bit broken. Interesting. So just like Tony suspected, this is actually somebody has had a look. So black plastic, there is actually one bit missing. I might have some, or might be able to make something, I don't know. Let's just power it off, because it said powering it off, powering it on. Well, let's try tape. Actually, let's try a cassette first. To see if it will take in a tape. Now it's sort of switching. No. Yes, so, okay. Should we just take this off? Something weird just happened then when I moved this. Okay, I'll just power it off. Oh gosh. It's weird, the screws are missing, but it's like it's not being pulled out. So it doesn't look like the print is damaged or broken in any way. I mean, it's you can see a little bit of damage here, but that's nothing really. Probably not grounding terribly well, but again, that doesn't really matter. I'm suspecting damage. I'm not actually suspecting this machine is actually bad from a fault. They're generally pretty reliable, these. But we'll see. Let's power it on. Yeah, so you see it's coming straight back on again. Backup is working. So you see that switching on and off. I mean, it could be power supply as well, to be fair. One of the rails not switching off. Or not getting the power off. Maybe. Try and remember, actually. Just checking the real motor. It feels great. That's good. Yeah, it's just weird that somebody's taken out the screws and then not actually taking this off. I'm guessing they suspected it was this board. And then it wasn't. The tape deck side of it. Interesting. I think what I might do is take the bottom off. Just that board. We've got 3 boards. This board is tuning, then this board, then the signal processing board at the bottom. So I think what I'll do is take this top board out. We'll just have a little look. I don't imagine there to be damage, to be fair, which sort of contradicts what I said before about there being possibly damage. Get that screw in a minute. And the one thing about it, I have loads of spares for these machines, so I will admit I would be looking at a board swap and then marking this board as a faulty board in my stash. I do label boards with what potentially is wrong with them, or if they're okay. If I know they've come from a good machine that had other issues, like lots of other issues, or was just too far gone, or couldn't necessarily give a reliable performance, then I do mark them as such, and it just makes life so much easier because you know what you're in for. So there we go. I mean, I can't see this as a damaged board because of where it is. Possibly the signal board could be damaged. This is where it gets a bit interesting, because the fault given by the customer, if you like, suggests that it will work if you power cycle it, but in my mind, I sort of get a feeling I've got a rail missing somewhere. I think the power supply is fine, but I think where it's missing will be to either this board or the signal board. And it's sort of just, that's your error code almost, if you like, that is on. Yeah, see, it comes on straight away. Although that's the last state it was in. So that's fine. This is why the standby light is staying on. I think it'd be worth taking the bottom panel off as well, just to have a look at that, just check that nothing's broken there, and then yeah, we need to do some checks, I think, and to see what's going on power wise and everything else. So let's crack on. Okay, well, there's nothing visibly broken that I can see, which is really cool. That's a good start. Everything looks good. This was interesting. Very long screws, and obviously not Sony screws. We're looking for these. So someone's obviously lost those screws. So I'm tempted just to power it back up. To be fair, where the screws go is it misses everything. It pretty much misses everything. That's that one. Yeah, it does. It misses everything. I was just wondering if maybe one of those screws was shorting something, but no, it's only pretty good like that, to be fair. But let's power it on anyway and just have a look. Okay, so we've still got the LED on, but it's now off. So it is remembering the last state it was in. I've just got this power LED on, and I have a strange feeling that might be an SDK problem. When the light's on, I think that's sort of like, if you like, the error code for the SDK not providing all the voltages it should. But we need to check. We need to check the voltages, see what's going on, and yeah, take it from there. Okay, so let's check the outputs from the STR. I say STK earlier, but it's STR chip. It is the STR-1229. So we should have a 9-volt rail, which we do, and we have a 12-volt rail, so that's fine. And to be fair, I sort of expect that now that I've thought about this machine. So we do have something on the logic side of things that is not performing as it should. Like I say, it powers on and off, but that's it, and the standby LED is always on. Like I say, it's almost like an error code. It's sort of telling you that something is missing, and yeah, I do wonder if we've got maybe a semiconductor fuse that might have popped. I just can't remember. I've seen this before. Once before I've had this this exact same issue, and I can't remember what the fix was. So yeah, let's investigate. Okay, so I've done some more checks, and I'm starting to think it is the STR regulator in the power supply, although it doesn't still quite explain why I'm not getting any tape transports, even though all the voltages seem to be there. But with the standby constantly being on, the standby on and off, you can see it's working. As far as the display goes, that's actually controlled by the timer chip. And literally, if we look here, what I've done is I've taken out the pin, it's pin 5 on connector, oh, what is it, CN304? Yes. That is the trigger to go down to the STR chip to turn it on and off for the switched power rails. And you can see here, if you get it in so it's in with the prog. So that's on, standby, on, standby. That's healthy. That's absolutely fine. I do actually wonder what might be on pin 5, actually on the power supply. There's voltage coming back. But I still don't have anything. But I know it's capable of working. It's like the logic's been scrambled somehow. It's sort of confused, but I can't quite get my head around why that might be. So yeah, but yeah, let's measure that voltage on pin 5 on the actual board. Okay, so there is actually nothing, which again sort of makes me suspect that probably it's the STR. I think there is a transistor between it, i.e. that going in, and the STR. Where are we? Power on. Yeah, so this is transistor here. It's 10 volts there. Drags us down. So it could be that transistor. So I'll have a look at that. But yeah, I'm really suspecting that it's a bad STR chip at the moment. Yeah, so let's just follow this. Goes through to the 12 volt regulator. 9 volts switched. Yeah, so it switches the 12 volt regulator on and off, and the 9 volt regulation is taken from the output of the 12 volt regulated supply, switched supply. So could be that. I'm almost putting all my money on that one, but we'll try this transistor and just see. Okay, so I found another STR-1229 out of a old power supply. Almost considered changing the power supply, but this one's actually pretty baked. I'm assuming the STR is going to be okay. Worth noting as well, this is a European version from an E machine rather than a UB machine, and you can actually see here there is a difference. This has got the 220 link in, a 220 volt link, and there's a 240 volt. So really, to use it in the UK, you need to break this link or take this link out, put the link in there, so it's running at the correct voltage. I've run E-machines absolutely fine on 220. It was supposed to be 220 in this country, but anyway, but we're here, we run at about 250. 256 is fairly common, which is really quite high. So yeah, but really you need to change that link over if it's in the UK. So yeah, I've also redone the silicon, the heatsink compound, and I've changed the caps as well, the common caps, 3 on this side, which I think are all 22 microfarad, and then there's 2 on the other side. This are 47 microfarad, all 16 volts. I've used 25 volt versions, which is absolutely fine. A little bit more resilience, I suppose, maybe. But yeah, so I'll get this back together, and what I'll probably do is sort out the Hall effect while I'm in there, because I don't want to run this with a really gloopy Hall effect. and also managed to knock off the flap somehow, so we'll put that on and then we'll give it a test to see if that's done the trick. Okay, so obviously we haven't actually had this machine run yet, but I am not going to take the risk. It could even be that Hall effect's bad anyway, we don't know. But I'm going to clean that off before I do anything else, before I power it on. What's interesting is what's going on at the bottom of the reel motor. There's a whole load of glue there, and I suspect that the plastic at the bottom of the reel motor assembly was worn on this. It's a very common fault, causes the disc on the top with the magnets to foul the coils. And yeah, it looks as if some sort of makeshift repairs happen there, so I'll be interested to see what that's like. But yeah, I'm going to clean off this Hall effect and yeah, take it from there, I think. So it was actually, I think it's been cleaned before. You can see that down to the copper on there. What I could see was just the glue on the side there, but that makes no odds, that's fine. As long as there's no glue between the leads. There was a little bit, but I've just cleaned that off. A bit of isopropyl on and the toothbrush, just clean that last bit out. But yeah, that's all good to go. So put this panel back down, screw it in, and we'll take it from there. Okay, so I'm not quite sure how I managed to knock this top bit off, because you actually have to release this tab from here to get these off and back on. So I'm gonna take off the bottom one. It's a bit of a fiddle, but just give it a clean. Might as well, as I've got to take that bit out. I can get all the dust off this here then as well. This is tape. I'll just clean this and in there. And then there's a little flat bit on the otherwise cylindrical part of the flap, and that does allow you to get it into position like so. And then to do then is I push, this is the opening mechanism here, so I push that back and then just slide it in, and that just makes sure that the doors are in the right position. I'm not convinced that is actually. There we go. So that's in there, and then same with the top. Don't have to push back on that because it's already aligned. Just make sure that it's in the right place. And then I do wonder about this machine, because it has been worked on, it feels fairly recently worked on, just with the grease and the glue and all the effect being sort of clean. So yeah, there we go, so that's back on. Tempted while this is off to do the switches, just change these switches as well. I know I haven't tested the machine yet, but we will get this machine going, so I might as well do everything while it's apart, and yeah, we'll crack on. So buttons have been replaced. I would prefer maybe another mil on the height of the button, but these will be absolutely fine. It's just I think I think the travel's just a bit nicer if it was just a mil higher. But all done, all good to go. I think the next thing I'll do is take this upper drum off, just give that a resurface, and then I think we'll be about ready to give it a try. So the drum's off. It is very shiny, and there's no cushion there at all. There's obviously there, you can feel the line in between where it's very worn or where the tape's gone, and where it hasn't. So I'll give this a resurface. I'm not going to show it because I've done it a few times now in various videos. Yeah, I'll get that done and put it back together. So I think we're back together and all good to go, so let's give it a test. Well, the power's off. I can now turn it on. Super. I think we might have to look at these gears, planet gears in there. It's all sounding a little bit stiff, but let's give it a try. It's all sounding a little bit sore. Super. So I'll plug something in and we'll have a look at the actual picture. Well, it's not bad at all. Giving a pretty good picture. And tracking left, tracking right. So heads seem good. Probably can't see that too well because the amount of light that's on in here. Yeah, I'm sort of really happy with it. Yeah, one thing I am noticing in winding, we're getting a little bit of green at the right hand side, so to see if we can get rid of that. Yeah, otherwise, really pleased. Okay, so I've adjusted that green out. It's not bad. Let's go back a bit. I will say the stills aren't terrible for a two-head machine. Yeah, let's get that one line, if at all. You got the capstan speed for cue and review, so that's CR. So try and get it so the lines when you cue or review are relatively stationary. See, they're fairly stationary. Review, stationary. And then we've got FH, which is the head speed in cue and review. I just had to adjust that ever so slightly just to get that green edge out, if you like. So yeah, so obviously the speed was just a little bit out. So yeah, I'm going to put this back together. I'm going to put, there should be a cable tie around here, so I'll put that on. I will just show that because you do have to get it right so it doesn't foul the door. So yeah, let's do that next. So I am actually out of cable ties, which is a bit of a pain, so I've used just a brand new wire tie. It's just reads stop it fouling the bottom of the front loading system mechanism and also the door, so it's just to keep it tidy, and that'll be fine. Wound that properly, so twisted it properly, so that's all good. So yeah, I think I need to get it back together. So unfortunately I haven't got a spare. Should be another black bit here, like I explained earlier in the video. I haven't got one spare, unfortunately. I thought I had one. But no, I've obviously either lost it or used it. So let's check that. So that opens and closes fine. Buttons feel good. It's quite a lot of travel on the eject, which is okay. just wonder. Oh, that should be okay. It just doesn't feel quite the same, you know. But yeah, it'll work and it'll be reliable. So I suppose that's the main thing, isn't it? So I did have a little bit of noise. Let's see if I can make it do it again. Yeah, a little bit of noise. I don't think you can quite see that. If I just turn that back, noise is gone. And in fact, I need to go just a tiny bit more. There we go. It's just a very slight, very slight adjustment on the carrier balance. I didn't even scope it, to be fair, but yeah, I'm starting to find that on a few machines the carrier balance just needs a little tweak, just the tiniest of tweaks, just to bring it back. But yeah, it's absolutely fine. So I'm going to put this bottom on. I'm going to try to use original screws rather than these, but at the end of the day I have a feeling these are going to be too damaged. In fact, you can pretty much see I'm probably not going to be successful, but I'll try original screws and we'll see how we go. Nearly forgot to reinforce those sockets, so that's done as well. So I've actually managed to use the original screws, so I raided my stash. You can see the difference. Both in length, and obviously these are self-tappers. I think it's because these are self-tappers, it just hasn't damaged the thread enough. And these have all gone in nice and tight, so really chuffed with that. Yeah, so next thing, let's have a look at those planet ears. So let's slacken this off, and should be able to lift this belt off. And then a screwdriver should be able to get this off. Fairly easily. It actually doesn't feel terribly bad. I mean, I'll grease them up anyway. So I use some WD-40 silicone lubricant, not WD-40, and I'm just going to very carefully, away from the tape and the tape path, just put a little bit in. There we go. Just a little bit. Just make sure there's a tiny bit just on that top bit. Don't really want to flood it. And clip. And clip should just press on. Make sure all three little parts of it are properly located. Belt back on. Tensioner. Really doesn't, I think it was a bit tight, to be honest. It really does not need to be very tight. That is cracked there as well. That's been over tightened in the past, but that's fine. Yeah, so let's power it on. And on. Oh, it's sounding better. Oh yeah, it's a lot better. Lovely. Super. Just trying recording, playing back a recording and the L830 test all in one go again, like I did with the F30 the other day, and still's great. I've got a bit of noise, you can actually see in the still, a bit of noise coming through. I think the capacitor's going on my HDMI to SCART adapter. It's always something. So let's just press play. So it's just the Icelandic cameras of this imminent eruption that might happen. We'll see. Probably by the time this comes out, we'll know if it did indeed happen. So yeah, and then we've got the little bit of smearing there, but it's pretty good. Yeah, I'm quite pleased with that. So, and the sounds there, so that's good. So, really pleased with this. More than happy to send this back now to Tony, and he's got a good machine. The only thing, if I was really picky, is the eject is a bit far out. You know, you have to push it quite a way in then. But I don't necessarily see that as a bad thing, especially as it's reliable now. It's been changed, so yeah, that's fair enough. So with that, thank you very much for watching. Lots more to come, and hope to see you in another video. Bye for now.